Would you receive? Welcome, Rotarians and guests. So glad to see you all here today. And welcome to the 105-year-old Rotary Club of Fayetteville. My name is David Sager, and I'm your president for this Rotary year. And here at this club, we begin the meeting by saying the four-way test of what we think, say, or do. Is this the truth? Is it fair to all? But they'll and we also sing. You can have a seat chatting.
All right, today our patriotic song will be America the Beautiful. Let's sing along. Oh, beautiful space, the skies low. Sure, it is crazy. So deep.
Let's stand for the flag, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so I got a little percussion coming with song here, and I want you all to sing along with me. Okay? I can see the is gone. He's all in my face. It's gonna be a sunshiny day. It's gonna be a sunshiny day. Think I can make it now for taste is gone. Here is the bright info. It's gonna be a bright sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright sunshiny day. Look on that sky. I can speak I can see all obstacles in my way. It's gonna be a bright sunshiny day. Gonna be a bright sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright sunshiny day. All right, and that segues nicely into this Dining in the Dark coming up April 23rd, Thursday night from 6 to 9, Mockingbird Kitchen. And this is in support of World Services for the Blind. It is a school in Little Rock that my grandfather founded in 1947. Been there all these years, just helping folks who have visual impairment to get around and hopefully learn to live independently and get a job. So it's all about sustainable independence. That is the key phrase there. It's $120 for a gorgeous 5-course meal. Of course, I say gorgeous, you won't be able to see it, but you'll be able to taste it because you'll be blindfolded. Start out with a cocktail, which usually has an appetizer and sometimes a little surprise appetizer in there, and a delicious meal and dessert. And Eric Yarberry, the Director of World Services, is always there to guide you through the process and tell you more about the services they provide to people from all over the world. But primarily also we have folks from Arkansas, and unfortunately right now their funding has been suspended because of the shutdown. So really can use the financial support right now. The staff is working hard and having to take a pay cut because Arkansas is the only state that is not releasing the funds for the services that they provide for the students. All the other students from all the other states are still having their services provided. So kind of a shame, but that's where we're at.
Thank you, Chatty. All right, Harrison, is Harrison here? Harrison's not here, he's out of town. Okay. Okay.
Oh, I was said if I didn't tell jokes that I was never gonna be able to come back to Rome. And I said, hey, that's not, you know. But anyway, no, I do have jokes. But I'd like to introduce our guest, our Rotarians who have guests first. Mary Alice Serafini has guests. Can you stand with me?
Sure. I think half of you, or maybe more, know John Berry, who I've known at the university, and he's had, I don't know how many different responsible things at Fayetteville, Northwest Arkansas. Now he is the director of hospitality at Mount Sequoia, organizing incredible things. So take a look at what's happening at Mount Sequoia and welcome John Berry.
Christine Cook has a guest.
Fellow Rotarians, please help me welcome my guest, Kelly Rideout. Kelly and I met at the restaurant. My table was sitting next to hers in December. I didn't have a business card, so I went with information and I'm wrapping paper, and she connected with me last week. She is a businessman from Little Rock, but to the U of A, and so her and her husband moved up here, and she's getting ready to sell them. So I'm here with the Kellys.
And Patty Platt has a guest.
This is my guest. So she is an account executive at Cumulus Broadcasting. She does have a lot of radio stations in the area, services. John and T are pretty popular duo that's on there for years, and she works to help small businesses do their guns.
Okay, now for the jokes. Okay, here are the jokes. How do you know flowers are friendly? They always have new buds. Remember the source here, don't blame. Does February like March? No, but April may. What do you get when two plants kiss? Tulip. Would you join me in your faith profession as after chairman? As we gather here today as members of Rotary, we strive to be ever mindful of opportunities to render service to others. Grant that each of us may feel our responsibility to Rotary and to our community.
Thank you, Jimmy. All right, where are you? This, you have a slide that's official. You're part of it.
And I always have a story.
Oh. Well, we want to hear the story. I think we want to hear the story.
Yeah. Well, one of the great things about Rotary, you know, Paul Harris, when he established Rotary, he did it so that he wanted to meet people. He was lonely, lived in Chicago, and here we are, and we get to meet so many people town people were meeting, the university. And I always like it, the diversity got, and I hope y'all will change tables every once in a while and sit with different groups. But one story about meeting people, I had joined Rotary and got invited in 1967, so I've been around for a while. And one of the first district meetings came along. Fayetteville was sponsoring it. We had it was at the UARC Bowl, which is up across from on West Dixon there, across from Underwoods. Pretty large venue, maybe 200 people from everywhere. I was new and kind of lost, but I wandered in and got my food and sat down at a nice table. There were people there from the whole district. I remember meeting a couple from Bristol, Oklahoma. There was a nice couple there from Bentonville. And we visited a long time. We were very sociable. They were telling me the great things about Rotary and how great Rotary was and everything. And when I left the meeting, I was on the way home. I know that I had impressed those people, and I know they were talking about what a great asset I was to Rotary. And anyway, but we all call everybody by first names, that. And I think Sam from Bentonville, I think he was pretty impressed as he drove off in his red pickup truck. Sam and Helen.
Yeah. Sam dude.
He had a button that said something about retail. I'm not a
Yeah. Retailer, never heard of them. Buck Cups for March or CSI Community Services. You'll see this also in your weekly newsletter. And we have a special announcement about track.
Good afternoon. If, like me, you need something to keep you off the streets for the next couple of days, I cordially invite you to visit the Randall Heights Indoor Track Center, where starting tomorrow, the university hosts the NCAA Division I Indoor Track and Field Championships. If you've been at the airport this week, as I have been, you'll have seen last night it was crowded with Oregon Ducks and Air Force cadets, Colorado Buffaloes, and a whole bunch of pole vault bags. The airport crew, the ground crew is getting their workout this week. It starts tomorrow and it continues Saturday. The track is in really good condition this year. So far, we've certified several national records for countries around the world. And a few weeks ago, when I was officiating, I was privileged to help certify a new world record in the men's 400-meter dash, set by Caleb McRae of the United States and that pitiful Crimson Tide. So anyway, there'll be 1,000 athletes here from all over the country for this. And if you can't make it this year, save the date for next year because we've been selected to host it 2 years in a row, which is a very big privilege for us. And this facility, I mean, to watch the athletes from universities all over the country come to just look around and say, wow, this is yeah, we're here all the time.
Thank you. We do have an amazing track facility. All right, just a reminder, Battle for the Paddle is coming. Information about this is in your weekly newsletter, April 18th and 19th. So keep that weekend clear. Just a reminder that this is the month, March 31st, the end of this month is the application deadline, $2,000 of somebody towards tuition, books, and fees at U of A, Rotary Community College, or NTI. Another reminder, save the date, June 3rd is our birthday party. It is after work, and it's at the Mount Kessler Park. All right, and I'm going to hand the microphone over for another word about our nightclub.
Thank you. We have another nightclub meeting next week on Tuesday, the 17th at Flyway Brewery. It will be a St. Patrick's Day social. You can purchase refreshments from Flyway Brewery, and they also have food you can buy as well. And we might, what the streets are saying, we might have some music from some Vegetarians, you should come support.
Thank you, everyone.
I bet you have a special outfit. All right, we are hiring a club coordinator. This actually pays real money, so you know, if anybody that wants to pick up a little part-time job, it's gonna be easy, but it does pay a little something because it's worth something to us. So we're looking for the right person for the job. All right, it's at this time, I'll hand the mic over to Kim Smith for our speaker introduction.
I'm old school. I don't have it down on the computer. I want to introduce our speaker. She's from the Shiloh Museum up in Springdale, and we encourage you to get up there and see exhibits. Right now, there's 2 Fayetteville exhibits. Shiloh Museum covers 6 counties in this area, but it just so happens that Buddy Hayes, a former musician around here, and his sister Betty Davis. Betty Davis, thank you. There's a prominent display up there of them, and also Andrew Kilgore has some displays up there on Andrew, and we're going to reopen on the 18th of this month. The city of Springdale supports the Shiloh Museum, and we've got some money to renovate it, and it's going on right now, and it's going to be open, as I said, hopefully on the 18th. That's the date I've been told. But our speaker is the historian for that organization, and she has quite a record of education. She's also a Northwest Arkansas young lady. She was raised in this area, Highfield and Siloam Springs. She grew up in Gentry before moving on, and she attended college at Northeastern State University in Tahlequah, earning a BA in history and an MA in American Studies and a degree also in library science. So she's well-rounded on the education aspect. As I said, now she's enrolled in a graduate program at the University of Arkansas in history. Is that right? All right. So help me give a warm Rotary welcome to Rachel Whitaker, our speaker today.
So you guys are getting my history of Northwest Arkansas in 18 minutes or less, so I'm going to talk really, really fast. No, not really. But I am going to just hit the high points. I'm not really going to go in depth. That's for a whole other conversation. I can go on some of these topics. So as he said, we do cover 6 counties in Northwest Arkansas: Benton, Boone, Madison, Newton, Carroll, and Washington. And I can say that really fast because I've been there for 10 years and I can do it. We do cover everyday life. So Tyson's, George's, Walmart, they have their own museums. They can tell their stories. We talk about them only insofar as they impact everyday life. We're more interested in the people who lived here, who raised their families here, went to school here, sometimes just barely survived here, and then the ones who died here. But it's the everyday people that we're interested in. So I'm going to run through really quickly some of the Native American peoples that were here before the white settlers arrived. So the first group is the 7 Council Fires. We know them today as the Lakota, Dakota, and Nakota, and you can see their territory up here on the screen. They were rather impressive as a group, but as the Europeans arrived, their territory started to shrink, but they were in Arkansas as late as the 1600s. So we also have the Caddo. They were probably the first tribe here, but again, a much smaller tribe, smaller territory, and a lot of their territory was diminished because of virgin soil epidemics. So things that the Europeans brought over that they hadn't encountered before. The Quapaw are actually currently debating with the archaeologists about when they arrived. And so the linguists actually back them up and say that they were here in the early 1500s. But a lot of our textbooks are still going to say much later. And the Osage. The Osage arrive about the same time as the Europeans. They don't get here until the 1600s, but they're the last group. And they're a very important group because they kind of build their own little empire out of Missouri and Northwest Arkansas. We're celebrating the 250th this year of the nation. And so most of the time our history books focus on that 13 colonies narrative with the British colonists. But actually we had the French here first. They arrived about the same time as the Osage in 1600s. They're here for a little while. They get into this nasty little war with the Spanish, and then they have to give up part of their land to the Spanish. So the Spanish take over. The Spanish are really bad at negotiating with the Native Americans. So those French trappers and traders who stuck around, even though they weren't supposed to, they become their liaisons with the Native Americans. And then, of course, because we like war as a species, they go back to war, and as French get it back. But there's this guy you might have heard of in France. He known to be short, he's really not. His name was Napoleon Bonaparte. He's 5'10", he's taller than me. So Napoleon Bonaparte, he's got these wars he's wanting to engage in. And so he turns to the United States and he says, hey, I got the state over there near you guys. It'll double your territory. I'll give it to you for 4 cents an acre. So we get the Louisiana Purchase in 18. So here's what the white population looked like kind of in our territories. And also you can see that our counties have changed over time. Can you guys see over here? Sorry. A lot of history books will also tell you that we didn't have enslaved peoples here in Northwest Arkansas. We had very few numbers. We actually did. We just didn't have a plantation economy. We rented out our slaves. So they were allowed to read. They were allowed to write because they could be rented at higher rates. So Fayetteville early on. So up to the Civil War, Northwest Arkansas is largely farm and agriculture. We don't have huge population centers. Fayetteville does have probably one of the larger population centers. Our earliest map is from the 1830s, and it shows about 6 square blocks. That was Fayetteville. That was where everybody came in the county to get their mail. It was kind of a happening place. It gets burned during the war though. So during the Civil War, most of Northwest Arkansas is abandoned. It's no longer safe to be here. Springdale in particular is completely abandoned and burned to the ground, what's left. So most of our structures don't predate the Civil War there. Fayetteville hangs on as a military post community. There's not very many of these. There's 12 of them in Northwest Arkansas total. You had to have 50 men. You had to sign a loyalty oath to the Union. And you had to provide for your family, and you couldn't trade or barter what you grew. So that was, and I always say his name backwards. So if I say it wrong, don't quote me on this, but Harrison LaRue Harrison was with the Union Army, and he's the one who managed the ones here in Northwest Arkansas. This is the Fayetteville Square, 1861. So when everybody comes back, those that do come back, they have to rebuild everything here in Northwest Arkansas. But they've got this thing that's coming. Railroads. Railroads are going to shift towns. They're going to kill towns. They're going to raise towns. They're pretty impressive. But with that, we also get huge boost in our produce economy. So they would offer discounts if you would grow what they wanted you to grow. They would offer you free seeds or saplings to grow what they wanted you to grow. And so produce becomes our thing in Northwest Arkansas. Everybody has produce. It's apples, peaches, strawberries, all kinds of things. We have up to 12 canning factories in most towns in the 1920s and 30s. We have one left in Northwest Arkansas, Del Monte. They bought out Allen's not too long ago. But in Springdale, we had a migrant labor camp because we had so many people who would come in during the summers to work in our fields. So also with the Great Depression, we get a lot of funds into Northwest Arkansas. The money comes in to build schools, they pave our highways, they put in sewage systems. For that, we had to use outhouses. So it really builds Northwest Arkansas in a big way, this New Deal funding. Some of that funding also goes into different companies and produce businesses in particular that are still around today, like George's, Tyson's. So some of them started out as produce companies and then became the poultry companies that they are today. Sorry, skipping ahead too far. But with those new companies that we have, Tyson's, Walmart, George's, we also bring in a much more diverse population. Before that, we had Germans, French, Italians, Scots, Irish, and English, and now we have people from all over the world. We have consulates in Northwest Arkansas. We have an El Salvadorian and a Marshallese consulate. So our population has changed. Our economy's changed. We've gone more poultry and more into service industries and tourism. It's a gorgeous place. That's why, even though I've lived other places in the world, I keep coming back here. But we are closed until the 18th. We just got an email yesterday saying that we are still planning to open on the 18th. So you guys can come see all of the renovations we've done. We've upgraded our grounds as well as our building. We do have some exhibits and some activities coming up. Fibers to Fabric is for school children. So you guys know any school teachers who are looking for activities for their kids? It used to be called Sheep to Shawl. Basically, we shear the sheep on the grounds and we go through the whole process up to the products you can make with the fibers. So lots of hands-on smelly activities. It's actually one of my favorite events. We will have our 250th exhibits coming in June or July. And then we will also on July 11th have a block party to celebrate the 250th of the nation. Andrew Kilgore's exhibit will be up for just a little while longer. And this photo exhibit represents a lot of 70s and 80s Fayetteville and Northwest Arkansas people. And the ones that we selected, there's I think 600 or 800 images total in his collection in our museum. But the ones that we've selected are the faces or the groups that you normally would not see in our collections. We do have the Betty Hayes Davis. That is 5 generations of one family in Northwest Arkansas. Her grandparents, the first generation we start with, were enslaved, and we go all the way up to Betty's death in 2015. So you can track the Black history of Northwest Arkansas and Fayetteville in particular in one family's story. This one is probably going to be one of our more popular ones. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Abby Burnett. Abby likes to talk about cemeteries and gravestones, and it's really fun around Halloween. But she has a new book coming out, and she's going to be coming and talking to us about her new book and also usually the symbolism behind the gravestones. Some of the other things that we offer, we were talking about at our table earlier. We do have education programs for the kids. We also have hands-on activities. So if you guys have kids or grandkids, you can bring them in. We also have adult programming, and then I do research with all ages. That's part of my job. And then you can come and volunteer if anybody's bored out of their minds, or if you want to come hang out with the kids and play with the sheep on Fibers to Fabric Day. We do have openings for those kinds of positions. You can also become a member. And that's some of the stuff that's on your table there. You can also join online. Our membership is really good deal, honestly. An individual membership is about $15, I think. And we have a what do you call it?
Store.
It's the membership to other museums. So you can either get a discount or a free, a reciprocal agreement with 170 museums in the southeast part of the United States. So a lot of those are free admission, but the ones that aren't free are a substantial discount on their admission. So that's the history of Northwest Arkansas, an overview of Shiloh Museum in 15 minutes and a second. So thank you guys so much for having me, and I'll be over here for a little bit if you guys have any other questions. Thank you. I can take questions. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any questions?
We have plenty of time.
Comments?
Tell us more about the photos that Shiloh Museum keeps. I know they keep photos for the Washington County Historical
Right.
Society. Could you tell more about
Sure.
that?
So that's actually what I started out as in the museum. We have the largest historic photograph collection in the state of Arkansas. We have over 500,000 images that are cataloged, and probably that many more in our backlog that we're working on. The historic Washington County Historical Society collection is over 5,000 images. Once we get the Andrew Kilgore done, we will have done all of those digitally, and they will be available to view online when you search our catalog. So if you guys have been to our museum, the footprint upstairs is replicated downstairs. So that's how much storage we have, and about half of that is photographs downstairs. So anything else?
I'm friends with the Holcomb family. Tell us about them, if you don't mind.
So Springdale was called Holcomb Springs during the Civil War because one of the early families here in Northwest Arkansas was Reverend John Holcomb and his very large family. They have been in Springdale since 1830s, give or take. William D. Quinton was the first to file a land grant for Springdale, or what became Springdale. And he set aside land for a church and a community building and a school, and then sells everything else to the Holcombs and leaves and goes to West Fork. And so the Holcombs just basically take Springdale. When the railroads are coming, John Holcomb and Joe Holcomb, Joe's the first mayor of Springdale and the son of John Holcomb, sell lots on Emmett Avenue for $1 if you will build a business. So that's kind of their, and then Emmett Avenue is named for Joe's stepdaughter, Emma Dupree Deaver.
What are your top 5 things that you love?
Oh, 5? 5. Can I say a whole collection? Okay. So Ada Lee and William Carl Smith, it's one collection, is this really fabulous photo collection, but it also has all these other things. That you can just watch this whole family, like for generations, live their life out. They were all amateur photographers. So you get to see like from the 1880s all the way up to the 1980s, the 100 years of history. The Betty Hayes Davis collection, it's pretty incredible. I'm doing my dissertation on railroads, so and timber. So Wayne Martin, who has the Pettigrew collection, and then Robert Wynn, who has just this massive West Fork and Winslow collection. And there's these fabulous gossipy letters in his collection that he and his sister are writing back and forth to each other. 1920s women were just, it was fabulous. I wish I had brought one with me so I could read it for you, just because they're so snarky. That's for next time. Trying to think what maybe the fifth one is. Man, there's so many to choose from. Like those are definitely my top four. Yeah, there's so many to choose from, and there's so many really cool things. I do know the Stanley Applegate and Bruce Vaughan camera collection. We have a cinematograph, which is like the first moving picture. They made themselves. They kind of just built it from scratch to make one. But then we've also got cameras going back to the 1840s all the way up until the 1960s or 70s.
Is that exhibit still going?
That exhibit will still be going until June.
Well, you made that exciting.
Yes, sir.
University of Arkansas.
So, sure. So we have in the Washington County Historical Society collection, the original two wooden structures for the University of Arkansas when they first set up the industrial college. And then we have the construction of Old Main. As far as anything else beyond that, I'm not entirely sure. We're actually digging into the history of that right now, like the actual documents of how that process worked.
So in all of these historical finds, have you seen a theme of women's suffrage and getting the vote? Has anything like that come out?
I do a program on the Winslow petticoat government.
Okay.
So this is a very near and dear to my heart topic. But we do have several things that have come through because Lida Wynn, Robert Wynn's sister, and Martha Wynn, another sister, were members of that petticoat government. And so we have some of the stuff from the Winslow American and Maud Duncan and her family. And her mother was the first woman to register to pay full tax to vote in Washington County. So, yes, we do. Does that answer your question? I love that topic very much. Yes, sir.
Judge, we have Kim and you both mentioned Betty Hayes.
Mhm.
David, part of the black community in that family. That I've seen that exhibit. It's really nice. I wonder how many people here really remember Buddy Hayes or his sister Betty Davis. People grew up in Fayetteville.
All right. So for those of you,
very, very interesting people.
who do, does anybody know what happened to Half Pint? Because we're still trying to figure out what happened to Half Pint in that story. No. So, anything else? Yes, sir.
My wife and I moved here in a couple of people. Last day of 1990, 4-H device here. And the city's about 30,000, university about 12,000. Where does history end at Silent Museum? Because Northwest Arkansas literally took out off like a rocket ship around that time.
History never ends. History is ongoing. History is the story of human beings, and it should be a story. It should always be a story. It shouldn't just be facts and figures. It should be gossip. This is not gossip. I know, and we cover all the way up. I run the library at the museum, and we keep vertical files on events that are happening right now. I have a volunteer who prints out and cuts out newspaper articles every day. because history is happening every day.
Big things too.
Well, I mean, Clinton getting elected is a big one. Probably Walmart splitting their stock in the 90s.
Since.
And yeah, but that one was the big one because I think it was the first time. I don't know, there's been some other ones, because like, we have in our women's history stuff, we have women protesting on the square during the war, naked. In the 90s. I think it would depend on what your definition of big would be, or what the important events are. I like women's history, so I would say a lesbian community protesting. Square is great.
Last question, Mr. Rhodes.
Let's go, I went to a soft opening, new restaurant, and it's called 1834, and it's over on the government or the house. Okay. And the owner was talking about why they named it 1834, and said that was the year they had the deed when the property that the restaurant sits on was deeded.
Sure.
So I guess at some point, with piano or with Dakota or whatever Indians and the property, how
How does that happen? So what's your question is, how is that? So the Osage signed a treaty in 1808, they're from Northwest Arkansas, they don't leave, because they tell them they're gonna Cherokee and they don't like the Cherokee. So some of them come back. 1817, there's a treaty with the Cherokee, for them to get part of Northwest Arkansas. They move them along before they ever get to be here. So then 1820s, they give it to the Choctaw. We can talk about Choctaw, but the Choctaw were given land here in Northwest Arkansas. And then 1825, they realized there's already white people living here, so you've got to sell your land to those white people. Then there's a third treaty in 1830 called Dancing Rabbit Creek with the Choctaw that says, if this is going to become a state, we already know this is going to become a state, you can't own land in a state. So all Native Americans pushed out. So then what they have are federal land grants. So it goes back into the government's land. And that's what you're seeing is those original land grants from the US government. And there's 3 different like acts. One of them is the Homestead Act, you have the Moral Land Act, which gives us the university, and then there's a third one, the Small Land Act. So that's how they get them. Yep, it's a federal land grant. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Next second for you. You brought us great value with this presentation today. It worked so well with the program from last week. Thank you, Kim, for these great programs. You'll display this token of our gratitude for coming. This is a rampaging razor on our Rotary. I think that's the first time I've stumbled on that the whole time I've been president. I'm going to call and get you the, I hope you'll display proudly a gift to you from us. Thank you so much. Okay, just one last reminder, nightclub is next Tuesday. It's St. Patrick's Day. Wear your green. It'll be a good time, I promise. And with that, meeting adjourned.
Yeah.
It was
That's the serious thing is to right there.
Don, I'm glad you're here today. Some old guy with long gray hair. Glad you're here. Make me feel home. Okay. I got a question. Y'all. You seats. I was looking on my. I saw you here. Now, if you look at all points. Well, no, they know. It's not as bad as what they said we could. It's all be like people. We need to have something close to it. So that was. Yeah. About that. In the present. And I look at that. So much. Awesome. Yeah. That's great. Yeah.
One thing I think is that when people are new. I brought this picture.
And your shirts. Same person you have to do it. Say, we need to get a vote from the chance from out to every world. Personally, next week. Yes. It's supposed to be said this is not. So. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Made a lot of bets, made a lot of bets, yeah.
Good. I should do it for you. I'll tell you. I'll let her know if they. She's making one.
Okay, good.
Good one.
Make sure I have.
I said that, about 12 things I was going to say, and I did. That's the one time, under time, so. You're gonna make time. Yeah.
Just in. Acquired, you get old.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
You don't. You got yours. Well. Oh, yeah. So this is. Gold. A gold thingy, your last name, gold. They don't cook them. Pretty well. Other than the park, I park behind the building.
Guy I was seeing a couple of years ago lived in the apartment complex.
Oh, yeah.
So
I didn't get this. So we can stay in our. Well, yeah, thanks. Feel like.
Great job.
Yes. And it was very good.
And she. She is in the last. And then. Basically,
I don't get there. Yeah, yes.
It's a big building, they hold up the
Oh, I think.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good space, right?
Yeah.